So now here we are on the other side of the field, and then, as those Texans, supremely confident of their success, come moving out of those woods, what they're facing here is quite a gamble on the part of General William S. Rosecrans, the Union commander. He has placed in his line that he has built here along the Nashville Pike every available soldier he has left in his army. And that means putting right here in this position quite a concoction that could turn bad on him in almost any section. His infantry, although individually the soldiers in this unit called the Pioneer Brigade are to a large extent experienced soldiers who have also seen their share of fighting, the Pioneer Brigade itself is an engineering unit that was created just prior to the Stones River campaign, and it is made up by drawing 2 men from every company across the entire Army of the Cumberland. During the weeks prior to the Stones River campaign, instead of drilling as soldiers and getting used to working together in combat conditions, they've been learning how to be military engineers, how to build roads, improve fords, build bridges, all the things that they would be doing during the Stones River campaign and actually within the midst of the fighting of the Battle of Stones River itself. So when they are called to put down their shovels and pick up their guns and move into line of battle, they're a little bit nervous about what's about to happen here because they're not used to fighting with the guys around them, and they know their officers were not chosen because they're great combat officers. They were chosen because they were skilled engineers. Over supporting them is the 6-gun battery of the Chicago Board of Trade battery, Stokes' battery. They had just arrived fresh out of their training from Chicago and had gotten to Nashville on December 25th, 1862. They are the freshest of the fresh fish in the entire Army. In fact, they're so new, they don't even have an assignment. And so they're basically just thrown into the fray next to the Pioneer Brigade, and Rosecrans crosses his fingers and hopes this works. Imagine the anxiety that is going on amongst those guns. All those men thinking about, how am I going to be able to do this job? How is our unit going to perform? Oh my God, I could die today. These are all things they're having to face up to for the first time because they are, as I said before, literally seeing the elephant right here on this ground. And Sergeant Henry Freeman of the Pioneer Brigade says this was the scene. From the woods to the right issued a stream of stragglers. The debris was drifting back rapidly. Cannon and caissons and remnants of batteries. There were men retiring with guns, some without, men limping, others holding up blood-stained hands and arms, men carrying off wounded comrades, and faces blackened with powder and sometimes stained with blood. Over all arose, near at hand, the rebel yell of the victors. The pioneers were ordered to lie down to let the remnants of their army scatter back across them and try to keep their line together. And then he wrote, Captain Morton rode to the front of the ranks and called out, "Men, you haven't much ammunition, but give them what you have and then wade in on them with the bayonets." Then the order, "Battalion, rise up," came like an electric shock. The Confederates were near at hand. Suddenly their line seemed to burst through the thicket just in front. Commenced firing, and our volleys were fired into them. The rebel flag, seen dimly through the smoke and trees, wavered, started forward again, then surged back.
Commence firing.
Alongside them, the men of the Chicago Board of Trade battery relied on the same thing. They had just spent the last 2.5 months training 8 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even though they had yet to fire a shot in anger, once they began to hear the commands of load, ready, and fire, the men of the Pioneers and the Chicago Board of Trade battery almost could not believe what they had done. They had stood up against some of the toughest battle-tested veterans of the Army of Tennessee and beaten them back several times, pitching in along this long horseshoe-shaped line where the Union Army stopped the Confederate tide and shifted the battle irrevocably into their favor. Ultimately, after the next 2 days, it would become one of the most important Union victories of the war.
This has been a History Break, brought to you by City TV and the Stones River National Battlefield.